So, kind of got it in the engine bay. Um, I've got to do a lot of kind of screwing around, get the oil pan across or past the cross member, then start lining it up with the transmission. I've got to kind of jack the transmission up and down to align the input shaft into the clutch flywheel assembly. But it's getting there. I've kind of got something that I've got to do today, so um, I'm probably just going to leave that like it is right now for overnight, and um, then probably get it in there tomorrow. So that's it. I'll bring you back when I'm continuing. Just a little video here. I got the engine back in. I didn't film putting any of the engine in because it's kind of a long, tedious process. Sometimes it'll slip right in, other times it won't. What the issue is lining up the transmission, the input shaft into the clutch flywheel. But I got it. Got the motor mounts in. I still got to bolt up I think I got like 4 bolts in the transmission. I got to finish bolting that up. But I'm going to start putting it back together tomorrow. I'll start filming it tomorrow. Me putting it back together. I just kind of stuck one of the injectors in here. I'll be putting the injectors and the exhaust manifold on tomorrow. Put the rest of the bolts and the transmission back in. Get that all set. Then we can start putting it back together. I'll bring you back. I'm going to shoot a little clip here. Kind of sitting in front of the Cummins. I wanted to kind of explain something. Some things have changed with this build, and I kind of wanted to be upfront and forthright with you because it's got my attitude down a little bit, but let me explain it to you. When I first started building this truck, I had done some repairs on the truck. It belongs to somebody else, logically, and I had done some repairs on the truck to try and fix some oil leaks, things like that. And he thought he blew a head gasket, and it wasn't. It turned out to be not a blown head gasket. It turned out to be that whoever worked on the truck previous to him, and I was kind of told it was a previous owner, but I don't know that for sure, had apparently done some head work, and when they put the head back together, they didn't torque it properly. The studs in the front of the head were very tight, were probably the proper torque requirement, but the studs in the back of the head were extremely loose, almost finger tight. and that's what gave him the perception of a blown head gasket. Is it actually did blow out through the gasket, but it wasn't a blown head gasket per se, it was a loose head. But anyways, he decided at that point in time that he wanted to build the truck. He had kind of intentions in the back of his mind to build the truck, and he decided at that time to do it. His goal was to get 600 or 700 horsepower out of it. So I pulled the engine out, and we started making modifications. He started buying parts, and we started making modifications. A new cam, performance pistons, bigger valves, springs, valve springs, a whole bunch of things, push rods, tappets, dual disc clutch, exhaust manifold. And along with that, what was going to be installed was a performance P pump and a larger turbo. Well, partway through the project, he got laid off from the job that he had, and things kind of came to a standstill. Now, he got another job fairly quickly, and I kind of assumed that he would work for a while and start getting some more cash flow going in and be able to buy the rest of the parts, and that didn't happen. Now, at some point in time, he just said, well, just put it back together the way it is, and maybe it's sometime I'll be able to get the turbo in the P pump. The problem is it kind of is taking the wind out of the sails of the project. We have all of these components in this truck to support getting there, but not being able to get there because we're not going to have a turbo or a P pump to support the parts that we've already installed. Now the truck is going to go back together. So I don't want you guys to lose faith in that we're going to complete the project. We're just not going to complete the project the way that it was originally intended. He's not going to be able to get anywhere near the horsepower that he wanted to. As a matter of fact, I don't even think that I'll suggest to him that we won't even dyno it, because there's no sense in it. It's not like we built the truck for the way that it's going to be driven out of here. We had intentions of doing it some other way, and the parts that we've got into it may support somebody dynoing it if that was their intention of building it that way, but you know, with our intention of, or his intention of having 600 or 700 horsepower out of it, he's not going to get that anywhere near that with the way it's going to be driven out of here. But the other issue is that now that I'm putting it back together, we still have all of the other issues with the truck that we originally had. And it wasn't only oil leaks, it was bad wiring, bad plumbing to things. One of the issues that I'm having right now is that the pump bypass, the guy that originally owned the truck had a small electronic fuel pump on this. Now it was an air dog, and I think it was it's called a Raptor. I'm not sure of that, but it was just a small pump. And that pump was plumbed into the original block pump housing and filtration system. The original return line was used. So now I have a pump that puts out a lot more GPM and pressure, and the guy that owns the truck now just kind of wanted it put back together the way it was originally, and it's not going to work. Well, I actually tried to do it for him, but it's not going to work. I mean, it's so bad that the fuel is backfeeding to the nozzles through the return lines. So I've got a lot of issues that I've got to deal with this truck. I mean, I'm going to put it back together, but the end project, you're not going to be able to see the truck go onto a dyno and be dynoed and how much horsepower we got out of it. You're just going to be able to see a build and the truck put back together, and along the way, you're going to see my resolution to wiring issues, plumbing problems with the existing truck and everything else. So I really hope that you guys don't get discouraged, because we were shooting for one thing and it's going to turn out to be something else. It's kind of taken the wind out of my sails. Plus, it also brought up a bunch of issues that the truck had to begin with, wiring and plumbing and stuff that have got to be resolved. So the way the truck was originally done, it was kind of cobbed together. Not only the issue with the head, but the wiring and plumbing also, and all of the oil leaks. So if it had been my truck, I think I would have gone through it. If I was going to put that much money into an engine build, I would have gone through it and tried to fix the other things, tried to straighten out the rat's nest of a wiring issue, and you know, redone the plumbing properly, and tried to help the truck support the new engine build and the new horsepower. But that's kind of not what, I don't think he envisioned that. So we were kind of on different levels as to thinking. So again, the truck is going back together. It would be the same, going back together the same, except it's just not going to have an enhanced P-pump or a performance P-pump or a larger turbo. But it will go back together, and it will go back together the same as if it had it. If you guys are building a similar project, the only thing difference is if you guys put the enhanced P-pump on it and a bigger turbo, you're going to be able to take it out and have it dynoed and get better results from it. But that's the way it kind of goes. So I'm going to continue. I'm not sure where I'm going to throw this into the video, but we will continue on, and we'll achieve the goal of getting this truck out the door running. So I'll bring you back, and let me kind of explain to you what I'm doing here. I got the engine in the truck, and I went to put the new exhaust manifold on. Now this is a tuned exhaust manifold made by stainless diesel. I went to put it on, and the bolts from, they don't provide new bolts with it, but the bolts from the existing exhaust manifold are way too long. So they're a 10 millimeter 1.5 thread pitch. So I went to Fastenal to see if they had them. They do have them. They didn't have any in stock that have the kind of flange on the end of it. What I had done is cleaned these existing bolts up and just kind of painted the head with high temperature engine paint, just to make them look good, only to find out that they didn't fit. Way too long. So I think they were $1.25 each. There's 12 of them. So for like 25 bucks with shipping, I got them to send me or get me new ones, and they're supposed to be in within like 2 days. Now it's going to be a holiday weekend, so it could be after the weekend before I get them. But anyways, that's what I was doing. What I'm doing right now is I'm just going through and chasing the manifold threads out with a tap, so that when I do get them, everything will be good. I'll bring you back. I just like to chase these out because, as you probably are aware, exhaust manifolds become really rusty, corroded type of thing. So I just like to chase the threads out before I put the bolts back into it. And what I'll do is I'll put a little never seize on it, anti-seize. And when I say a little, I mean a little. Just you kind of paint it right into the threads so that it doesn't gunk everything up. There's a lot of people put way too much of this stuff on and it becomes gobbed up on everything. I'll bring you back for more eventful stuff. A video here of the exhaust manifold design. I kind of forgot to bring the camera over while I was putting it on. I went to put it on the other day and realized that there was a huge difference in the stainless exhaust manifold flanges and versus the flanges from the stock manifold. So the stock exhaust bolts wouldn't work. What I did is went to Fastenal and got some 10 millimeter bolts that were the correct length. They're grade 8 bolt. So they had to ship them in. So this was like 2 days ago. I got them this morning. Put them on the exhaust manifold on, and I just got finished torquing it down to 32 foot-pounds. What I'll do is I'll come in, it's a holiday weekend, so I probably won't be in until Tuesday, but I'll come in Tuesday and just recheck the torque on them and make sure everything's good. Probably start getting the turbo and stuff back on, but I'll bring you back. I'll remember the film from now on.